Mr. Andrews reckons I'll be reading the newspaper next week.
Well, that is good news. Next thing we hear, you'll be lecturing at university.
Nah, doesn't pay enough.
Don't kid yourself, Baxter. Even if you do learn to read and write, which I doubt, you'll never get a job.
I will, so a good one.
Like what?
Anything I like. I have to spend the rest of my life making myself feel better than other people like you.
I'm warning you, Baxter.
You warn me all you like. I'll be out in 2 weeks. I'm getting my parole.
Oh, yes, we were discussing that before.
What?
Your parole.
Yeah, I'll be out in 2 weeks.
Don't bank on it.
Mr. Andrews will tell them.
Oh, yes, he's telling them all right. He's already made out his report. He's decided that you're a poor student, that you haven't been making the most of your opportunities, and he's recommended against your parole.
Hold your fire!
One man was killed and another critically wounded when police opened fire on a haberdashery shop in Linton Street late this afternoon. The gunman had been holding 2 women hostages after an attempted robbery had been earlier foiled by police. Both the hostages were unharmed.
Oh, Mrs. Morris is
Came to a
okay.
climax after 24 hours when the gunman started shooting at police. A woman has been charged and remanded without bail.
Welcome
to
back,
appear in the
Margot.
magistrate's court on the
Stinking
12th of
turd
next month.
bastards! Oh, they're gonna stop me parole.
What? Turn that thing off.
Have been notified.
Oh, what was that again?
Andrew's a lousy pig. He's gonna tell the parole board I've got to do me whole sentence.
Where'd you hear that?
Oh, Bennett went and told me.
But he can't do that. He wouldn't.
Wanna bet I told you he was a
Shut up, Doreen. Did you say why?
Yes, I've got to learn to read and write properly before I get out.
Oh, you don't want to believe that. Old Vinegar's just having you on.
Well, one thing's for sure. If he's gonna do it, there's nothing we can do to stop him.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Is that all you came in with? We'd better get you into a prison uniform. After the courts are finished with you, you'll probably be wearing one for quite a while. Now get behind that screen and wait for an officer.
Please let me know how Wayne's still.
You're not entitled to ask for anything, Gaffney.
Never meant it to happen.
Mrs. Morris could have been killed because of you and your mates. Now get behind that screen before you end up in solitary.
Is Erica in?
No, she waited to hear that you were all right, then she caught the first plane to Sydney. She's got a conference with Corrective Services tomorrow, so I'm in the chair. If you care to wait a few minutes, I can give you a lift home.
No, Bob's waiting outside for me.
Well, then you'd better take tomorrow off. We've got a trainee. She can do some of your work.
I'll see how I feel.
What are you doing in here?
Oh, just having a cup of coffee.
You've got 15 minutes before you sign off. You should be with an officer learning your job.
Well, I tried to find you, Miss Bennett, but I didn't know what to do. I ran into B. Smith in the corridor and, well, I tried being firm, but she just laughed at me, so I decided to come back in here and wait for someone to tell me what to do.
The first thing you do is never let an inmate get the upper hand. I've already told you that. If you let them see that you're afraid or weak, you might as well forget being an officer here and now.
But it's only my first day.
I was younger than you when I first started, but I managed to put these women in their place, and on my first day. You've got to be hard on them, and you've got to mean it.
Yes, Miss Bennett.
Oh, Meg, thank heavens you're all right. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm fine. Just a bit tired.
Well, this should make you think twice about helping these women.
It wasn't really Margot's fault.
Rubbish. You're lucky you weren't killed.
You must have been terrified.
Oh, Sally Dean, Mrs. Morris.
It's Meg.
Hello. I think you're very game standing in for one of the hostages like that.
It was a stupid thing to do, Meg. You know what that sort feel about us. Has Gaffney been brought back in yet?
Look, her boyfriend got into debt gambling because he wanted a bit of extra money to pay for the rent.
Now, if I'd been able to get Margot a decent job before she was released, perhaps none of this might have happened.
You're not making excuses for her.
Excuse me, I'm going home.
She's more understanding than I'd be.
She's too soft. But the women still respect her as an officer, and that's something you've got to learn.
How?
I'll show you. My way.
Oh, now, come on. Who's got a cigarette for Margot? Lizzie.
Oh, we're saving these for rainy day, Bee.
So we've just been hit by a downpour, okay?
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your boyfriend, love.
He was only trying to win a bit, you know, just to get us started. They sucked him in. If he didn't pay him, they would have killed him.
Why'd you have to go along with him?
Because he was always getting things screwed up.
Felt a lot of good you did.
You know, I don't know what's wrong with you women. You got more brains than any guy, but you still go along with them. I mean, half of you wouldn't even be in here if it wasn't for some guy.
Yeah, once they got you, they want to keep you, you bastard.
Look out, Dracula and a baby better flapping in.
Boasting about your exploits, are you, Gaffney? On your feet when I'm talking to you. Well?
No, Miss Bennett.
Some of you women will never learn. You think the world owes you a living. At least Gaffney does. They wait until someone gets hurt, and then they blame it on everyone else but themselves.
Now, that's not always true, Miss Bennett. For instance, if someone like you got hurt, none of us would mind taking the blame.
You and your pack have already lost 2 weeks' privileges. Any more smart comments, and I'll see you lose another 2 weeks. Which reminds me, Miss Dean tells me that some of you have been insolent. If I ever hear you being rude to an officer again, you'll learn a few manners in solitary.
Blabbermouth.
And that goes for you too, Birdsworth.
Speaking of blabbermouths, Miss Bennett, what's all this about Andrew stopping Georgie's parole?
He can object if he sees fit. He seems to think she needs educating. I think he's wasting his time.
You know, that little pipsqueak is getting just too big for his boots.
What are we going to do about it?
First thing we're going to do is we're going to boycott his classes. And then, ladies, I think it's about time we started voicing a few opinions of our own. We'll do the same thing at breakfast. The more food we can scrounge, the longer we can hold out. And don't forget to bring whatever you've saved from your buy-up.
Yeah, OK, but we tried strikes before. They didn't work then. I don't see why they're going to work now.
That's why we're doing it outside this time. They won't be able to lock the doors on us. Doreen? Well, what's with you?
I just don't see why we're doing all this just for her, that's all.
We're not just doing this for Georgie, we're doing it for all of us. Listen, if we let someone like Andrews get away with blocking the parole board just because he thinks no one should get out of here unless they've got a degree after their name, we are all sunk.
Yeah, Doreen would get out.
Put a sock in it. It's up to you, Doreen. Remember, we're doing this to beat people like Andrews and that new screw.
Yeah, well, just so long as Dumbo doesn't think it's all for her, that's all.
Flaming hell, you're both as bad as each other. Margot?
Oh, count me out. I just want to hang around inside to see if Wayne's okay, you know?
Yeah, sure, okay.
Supposing they don't let us out tomorrow morning, Bee?
We have to convince them that if we're going to be healthy in mind, we need to be healthy in body as well.
I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, you can't even be in a good mood around here
Must
anymore.
be the weather.
Well, it certainly wasn't the breakfast.
Yeah, I know. I've got to run off some of that porridge. I feel as though I swallowed the saucepan.
You got a point there.
It was a handle.
Oh, no, but it's a shame we can't be out in the fresh air instead of being cooped up in here.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, Mr. Fletcher, how about it? We've got 10 minutes before we have to get back to the grindstone. A bit of exercise wouldn't hurt any of us.
Every time I suggest you get a bit of exercise, you all try to find some excuse to get out of it.
Yeah, well, I was rather thinking of sport, not that back-breaking stuff you try and put us through. Do it just as much good.
And what brought this on?
It's the bikini season, Mr. Fletcher. We've got to keep in good shape.
Yeah, how else are we going to keep the body beautiful? Uh-oh, some people have no appreciation of the finer things in life.
Finer?
Oh.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't do you any harm.
Oh, thanks.
Mr. Fletcher, can I ring the hospital and see how
We haven't
Wayne's
got time, Gaffney. They'll let us know if there's any change.
Yeah, too busy perving on the women.
You going to let her get away with that?
Oh, you can't afford to be too sensitive. If they know they can get at you with insults, they'll never leave you alone.
You all have such different ways of handling them.
No, don't worry. You'll find your own way soon enough.
When was this?
Same old story. I mean, she loved
Yes,
the man.
well, I'll
She
see that
couldn't
she's
talk him out
told.
of it, so
Thank
she
you.
had to go along with him.
You're not rostered on today, Meg?
No, it will give me a chance to catch up on some of my other work.
Good morning, Vera.
Morning.
Did I miss anything at the classification meeting yesterday?
I'm typing up the report now.
Do I have to wait to read it?